Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the sustainability session. I will ask all the speakers to please open your cameras, your mics, and then we can start. Welcome, everybody. Thank you all for
Welcome, Tania.
this invitation. We really appreciate it. So for our audience, let me tell you a little bit about, give you a bit of context of where we are and why we are doing this. We are showcasing today a great group of companies that are offering solutions to address challenges in the sustainability area, that help companies and the society become more sustainable, become more efficient, and also reduce the carbon footprint. This is also part of our commitment, the chamber commitment, to support our member companies to become more responsible through our program called Responsible Business Hub. If you wish to know more about the program, please visit our stand today. We will have more information for you there. All our guests will be pitching the companies today. We will start in alphabetical order. One by one will we having presentations for around 5 to 7 minutes. Then when we have all the presentations finished, we will open the room for a Q&A and interactive discussions. Please put your questions in the chat boxes. We are keen to have you participating in the event. That's the whole purpose, that you are able to talk to those companies directly, ask questions, etc. So please do so. And remember that you can also request one-to-one meetings with all our speakers. On the people button, just find the speaker, click on it, and then request a video meeting, and you can have that after we finish the panel today. Some of our panelists also have stands, so then you can visit and know more about their technologies there. So then just to move quickly, we will start with Joe, then Danielle, then Ricardo, Emily, Martin, and finally with Michael. And then I will be back, if that is okay. Excellent. So Joe, let's start with you.
Thank you so much, and it's great to be here. So my name's Jo Hand. I'm co-founder of Geeky. We're a social enterprise and also a B Corporation. Now I'm going to attempt to share my slides, which I'm hoping will be straightforward. Is there a sharing button on here that I'm missing? Perfect, got it. Thank you. Thank you. So let me start by just sharing a few slides to give you a little bit of background in terms of what we do and how we work. So we're really fortunate to work with a really broad range of organizations who want to help their staff and their people think about carbon through their own lifestyles to help embed that across the sustainability, across the business strategy on sustainability. And we're very much science-based in terms of everything we do, and evidence-based, and data is a crucial part of what we do, as is technology. And that's broadly what I'm going to talk about today. But in terms of what we actually do, so we provide a program for companies, large and small, who want to help their people learn more about and take action around sustainability, both at home and at work. So we have two key components to what we offer. There's a tech platform, a software that enables people to measure and understand their own personal carbon footprints, and then track their collective successes in terms of reducing their footprints through sort of group tracking and challenges and leaderboards. And the real gold that we find is that people taking action through their community is much more motivating than actually thinking about your own lifestyle. And we support the technology with an engagement program, which we map out with companies when we first get started, to really identify what they're trying to achieve, and then create a program that is going to deliver that through a range of different engagement mechanisms. And the reason why most companies work with us, there are a number of different drivers, but I'd say the most common is because they want to engage and educate their staff as part of a broader sustainability strategy to really feed sustainability into day-to-day business decision making. And we find that over 90% of people who attend some of our engagement workshops report back that they're much more likely to take action on sustainability within their own lifestyles and with their own sphere of influence. We're also finding increasing staff demand. So we did a survey in the UK at the beginning of this year, and 3/4 of people who are looking for a new job said sustainability was in the top 3 priority areas when deciding what employer they wanted to go with. And for the Generation Z, so the 18 to 24s, it was more important than home working and flexible working, which is sort of amazing in terms of how high up the agenda sustainability has now come for individuals when looking to their employer. We're really fortunate to work with a really broad range of fantastic organisations who want to help their people, and it's a fairly new area and a new part of sustainability strategies, this employee engagement and education, because there's a growing awareness that actually if you have a strong sustainability commitment as a business, your people are absolutely crucial in delivering that. And we're fortunate that we've got very high renewal rates, and people tend to renew with us because they embed this into their long-term strategy. Employees love it, and it's good value for money. So I think those are the 3 most common reasons that our clients decide to work with us over often multi-year periods to help really grow that knowledge of sustainability across the business. And a crucial part of that is sitting down together and creating a plan so that we can execute together and really achieve what our individual clients are trying to achieve. So I'm just going to give you a little snapshot of the platform. Sorry, you're seeing yourselves now. So when people first sign up, they get an initial estimate of their carbon footprint. Now, around 70% of greenhouse gas emissions actually come from us, from people. So the potential here, both in terms of business opportunities around education, but also in terms of reducing emissions in line with what we need to do to keep global warming under control, is enormous. People then can see what steps they're taking, and these can people can have a deep dive into these in our steps area. And then the leaderboards are a crucial part of the ongoing engagement. Might not think too much about sustainability, but we find people love a bit of healthy competition. So we've got leaderboards and challenges, and people can also then track all of their collective achievements. And we find this is a really motivating part of getting a very broad audience to think about sustainability and really understand it and have the confidence to then bring that into their workplace, both in terms of conversations with clients, new product developments, and thinking about the many business opportunities around sustainability. So I'm going to now, I think I have reached my my 7 minutes, so I'm going to pass on to
Danielle.
Manuel.
Thank you, Joe. Very interesting.
Thank you.
Danielle, the floor is yours.
Oh, you're on mute.
You are on mute. You are not in mute, but we cannot hear you. No, we cannot hear you yet.
Is it working now?
Perfect now. Go
Wonderful,
ahead.
wonderful. So wonderful to be in this fantastic event and with such an amazing group of companies focusing on sustainability. And I'm the founder and CEO of KindWorks AI. On our company, our focus is to motivate and inspire people to consistently practice kindness in their work environment, in their life, and in that way extend the vision of sustainability and help companies produce results in a more sustainable way for their employees. I'll share a little bit about KindWorks. I'll share a little bit about the impact that this has had on people that has been bigger than we ever imagined. So that's some of the topics that we had. Let me make sure this sharing works well. There we go. Critical question. You can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Wonderful. So overall, we ignite purpose, impact, and connected cultures as a way for companies to produce results in a more sustainable way. What we're creating here is the next big wave of well-being and of sustainability in companies. We know the impact that fitness has on employees, right? And it has had with Peloton or ClassPass using technology. We know what has happened with meditation and Headspace. What people don't know is that what we've seen in our results, and also more than 400 papers of research, show that when you practice kindness towards others, it's one of the most powerful tools humans can have to lift their well-being, to produce results, and to create work environments where everybody is thriving more than anything else. And the reality today is that people are burned out, people are in search of purpose, people are isolated. In the best case scenario, people are not living at their full potential. In the worst case scenario, right, we generate significant challenges for people themselves and as well for companies as you lose your top talent, right? Like companies become endangered if behaviors and cultures don't adapt to meet the new norms. Um, the reality as well is that employees have realized that they can quit, go somewhere else, and particularly that will happen with your top talent. And what we found with our results, what we found with our companies, that the levels of job satisfaction, connectedness, life satisfaction dramatically change when people practice kindness consistently at the workplace, and allow us to start to work in a more sustainable way. And there's like so many results backing this up. There was just a very recent paper that even the probability of a heart condition dramatically changes when you're consistently practicing kindness. And that's why we've built KindWorks. We're an enterprise technology platform that motivates and inspires people to consistently practice acts of kindness in a way to improve, in a way to increase their sense of collaboration and caring, in a way to support employees' balance and well-being, in a way where people are more connected no matter how they're working. Like our company is 100% remote. We have people in London, we have people in Oxford, we have people in India, we have people in Colombia, we have people in Canada and Chicago. And overall, we work very close together, even closer in a personal way than any of the teams I've worked before, where we were fully present or in the same workspace, and creating a culture of trust and appreciation where everybody feels empowered to thrive. So we actually, our platform has even a conversational agent whose name is Benny, comes from benigno or benign, that motivates and inspires every user, right? So he shares specific acts of kindness that people can consistently complete. And people are going through a journey where they practice how we call it, a kindness muscle, right? Or your ability to do kindness and start to extend it in a way where companies produce results in a more sustainable way, right? So, and then people ask, it's like, okay, what do you exactly mean by kindness? Is things that you can do that improve or benefit others, right? Such thing, and very simple things. You don't need to, you know, um, completely change your routine, but just, recognizing somebody's work or doing an act of kindness towards yourself, such as writing 3 things that you want to accomplish this weekend, or and you can go on and on, right? Matchmaking status on, or our platform has also become a platform for companies to launch their HR campaigns that normally just stay in paper or on your email, but actually convert them into actions because they are connected to a specific acts of kindness that you can do. And the results have been absolutely incredible. There's an increase of 63% in the percentage of employees feeling they make a positive impact. We're, of course, having a lot of work, a lot of excitement to deploy these to as many people as possible because of the impact that we're having, and because we're becoming a core component of our culture and the cultural transformation at the employees and with our clients. We were even surprised a couple of weeks ago when one of our clients actually went and posted on social media. They don't tend to use that often, as a tool to show their culture, to show how they can do things differently and produce results in a more sustainable way. I could go on and on about KindWorks, but definitely very honored to be in this panel, and looking forward to a very interesting and delightful conversation.
Thank you, Daniel, for that. Ricardo. And Daniel, if you can stop sharing your screen so we can allow.
Hello, everyone. Thanks so much for this invitation. Are you listening to me well?
Yes.
Okay. I'm Ricardo Cardona, CEO of Oasis Group, a company focused on accelerate electric mobility in Latin America. We're right now based on Colombia. I'm going to share my screen so you can see a couple of things that we are doing back here in Colombia. For no one right now, it's a secret that electric mobility is happening now. We are on a tipping point of this transportation sector becoming electrical, and doing it so in a big, massive cultural transformation. So right now, we're approaching this problem like seeing from the environmental approach. As I say, 27% of greenhouse gas emissions are becoming from transport sector. This is the one of the most polluting industries. Another thing is that is going on right now is our people in the cities, they are dying because of this pollution, and it's also killing biodiversity. And also we have this great opportunity to use electric vehicles that they are like more efficient than this internal combustion engines vehicles. So right now we're pushing the solution to become like faster adoption of electric mobility as an alternative. Our solution is to create like an integrated environment that could accelerate from infrastructure, from culture, from the creation of a better environment to allow that these electric vehicles, they're going to have like the best benefits, the best facilities to being used by the users. Right now, we have developed a platform that allows to connect profoundly users, vehicles, and the infrastructure, and allowing us to optimize the charging session, the power consumption, the knowledge of this new user, and these new habits of mobility. Right now, we have the biggest charging network in Colombia. As you know, Colombia right now is being the leader of this transformation in the whole Latin America. So we're thrilled to present this to you as our first time with this panel. Right now, we have 44 charging stations in 7 different cities in Colombia. We are right now expanding to Santiago de Chile, to Mexico City, to Panama City, and a couple of cities that are seeing this transformation. And our business model is based on advertising, so that is allowing us to finance these investments on infrastructure before the critical volume of users is coming to the streets. Right now, as I said, we are the biggest charging network. We're a small startup that is trying to changed the whole landscape of mobility in Latin America. So we are so proud to be leading this whole transformation. Obviously, these have a big impact on the whole sector, because we're not just like allowing better development of the mobility, but also like cutting the emissions of derived of the actual transportation sector. So that's a couple of things that we are doing right here in Colombia.
Thank you, Ricardo. We really appreciate it. I have a couple of questions for you later on, but now it's the turn of Emily. Emily, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Really interesting to hear, Ricardo, and really great to see the growth that you're having. I'm just going to share my screen. Is that coming through for everybody?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Hi, I'm Emily Rogers. I'm one of the co-founders at Wreath. We are a software platform that helps companies set up, manage, and then scale any reusable packaging systems that they're running. Just for a bit of context, single-use plastic is being banned around the world, and Chile is actually one of the most recent countries to ban things like styrofoam takeout packaging, single-use straws, cutlery, plastic bottles in restaurants and supermarkets. Which means that businesses are looking at reusable solutions like reusable packaging to help them cope with these changes and keep up with changing customer demands. But reuse is a new way of working, which means it requires new tools. That's where Wreath comes in. Wreath is a software product that helps businesses run a successful reusable packaging scheme. It's easy to use and puts key data at your fingertips. We work with any company that uses business-to-business or business-to-consumer packaging, like manufacturers, brands, online retailers, and brick-and-mortar shops. We work across industries with customers in food and drink, cosmetics, home cleaning, takeaway, and primary and secondary packaging, working with some of the largest fast-moving consumer goods brands around the world. How does this actually work? So I'll give you an example of one of our UK-based clients, Bauer Collective. They sell things like hand wash in these reusable pouches that you can see on the screen. Wreath works with Bauer Collective to track their reusable packaging. So as you can see, we've got a QR code on the pouch, and I'm just going to dive into a bit more detail here. To work with Wreath, we tag the reusable item with a unique ID. That gives it its own identity or passport, if you'd like. And just like with our passports that have unique information about us, like our names and our date of birth, we give this passport that unique identity that's on that machine-readable code, be that a QR code, RFID, NFC, or barcode. Then as we scan the QR code, RFID, or barcode through the system, we give it a digital stamp in its passport. So just like when we get stamps as we go through customs that let us know where and when we've been somewhere, a stamp in the packaging's passport let us know key information like what the packaging has been filled with, what batch code of ingredients, any allergens, all for health and safety tracking, as well as being scannable by the end consumer. So the end customer that gets their pouch of hand wash delivered can scan the QR code and get information about what's in that pouch and how many times it has actually been reused. And of course, you're able to collect all of that data around health and safety and how your operations and logistics are running to help make your reuse system operate more effectively, both from a commercial standpoint, but also from an environmental footprint standpoint. Go into a bit more detail about the customer scanning the QR code. We have achieved a 15% engagement rate with Bauer Collective on customers scanning that. And when they do, they're taken to a brand-owned and hosted webpage that pulls reuse and product data from Wreath's API. An API is essentially a way of sending the data from our database about packaging through to the web interface that the consumer is seeing, which helps with things like greenwashing because customers are able to verify themselves that the packaging has actually been reused 8 times in the last 6 months, for example. We also work with the UK retailer Marks & Spencer's, who are a FTSE 250 brand. We work with them on the Fill Your Own offering, where customers can bring in their own packaging and fill from these bulk dispensers that you can see on the right-hand side. Wreath does the back-end traceability for these bulk end dispensers, keeping track of product batch codes and best before dates for health and safety and allergens. On average, each of these containers are reused about 56 times per year. We have saved 21,000 kilograms of non-recycled PET for one of the product lines. And if you multiply that across all 50 SKUs, it's a whopping number. And we've managed to save 1.5 million as we roll out across the store because of the time saving we're able to implement by tracking all of this information digitally, saving the store colleagues valuable time and energy to run this offering for customers. We are a great partner in achieving sustainable development goals because we help businesses calculate their impact and measure how they're doing against those sustainable development goals. So in summary, using Wreath software unlocks increased profit through cost saving for businesses, as demonstrated with our Marks & Spencer's use case, increased customer engagement through sharing accurate data, as you saw with Bauer Collective, and improved business and environmental strategy by being able to access and capture data via Wreath. We will keep you at the cutting edge when it comes to reuse systems and data management. Currently, businesses use us to run compliance reporting, drive that consumer engagement, any environmental reporting, and auditing and managing their system. And in the future, Wreath will be using that data to help companies scale by looking at things like carbon accounting, tax savings, and plastic credits, as well as predictive modeling to help your systems run more efficiently, and bring reuse recommendation engines to you to help you understand which products are best suited for reuse. Thank you. I will stop sharing and leave it there.
Thank you, Emily. Interesting because it complements a little bit of the technology that Michael has. So you will hear from him later on. So Martin, your turn.
All right. Thank you very much. Firstly, thank you to the British and Colombian Chamber for this opportunity of us entrepreneurs to show a little bit more about what we're building on sustainability. I'm going to share my screen to tell you a little bit more about what we're doing at Rocasol. So in Rocasol, we are the one-stop shop for solar energy solutions in Latam. And Rocasol is actually born because the average household in Latam spends up to 10% of their income in electricity, and the solution is staring right at us. Having a solar system can help us save up to 90% of our electricity bill. However, the market for solar systems on households and small and medium businesses is completely untapped, and that's basically because of two reasons. Firstly, people don't understand the solar industry and they actually don't trust it. It's really easy to go into Google and search solar installers near me, but when I'm gonna get a quote, I will never know if the quote, is it good, is it bad, is it expensive, am I gonna get the amount of energy that I need to supply my needs? Also, if we decide to go ahead with this problem, we will find out that 9 out of 10 solar systems are actually held back because of the lack of financing. In particularly in Colombia, banks are not willing to finance any system that costs roughly under $50,000. So exactly what do we do at Rocasol? Easy. At Rocasol, we make solar systems happen. Rocasol is a one-stop shop where anybody can obtain, finance, and install their ideal solar system. So exactly what do we do? At Rocasol, we connect clients with installers or solar system installing companies better in a 100% digital process. What we really want is for the well-being of the clients and the solar system companies. So on the client side, we offer them instant routing, connection to the right installers. We ensure they have the fair pricing, the correct financing options, and of course, the top quality of the equipment. On the installing solar system companies, we actually want them to succeed. So we increase their customer flow, we increase their conversion rate, we connect them with the best-in-class hardware. We provide the contracts to so that we can all have this transaction completely protected, and we ensure a quick payment turnaround. But exactly what does our client see? Our clients, we generate value for our clients from day one because it's cheaper to pay our loan and to pay the the solar system than to stick with the current power bill. So in the reduction of the electricity bill, Rocasol will generate a loan for a client so that it will be cheaper from day one. Also in Colombia, we have a series of tax incentives, and the client can recover up to 43% of the entire project value via income tax. On the other side of the equation, what do we see? We actually see a really, really profitable business model where we have three main revenue streams. Firstly, the client interest payments, where we offer loans from 2 to 10 years. Then we have a finder's fee we charge to the installing companies that varies between 3 and 5%, and we have a 15% margin on the hardware that is being sold. We actually have a great traction and a great background. We've been operating roughly around 22 weeks ago. Sorry, we've disbursed 10 projects that are already financed and producing energy. We have roughly another 15 projects that we haven't been able to disburse or to make reality because we actually don't have the capital right now. We are also building partnerships with several construction companies. Currently with Amarillo, we're their sole solar energy provider, so that we can offer our solutions in their new buildings and in their existing constructions also. We know the market is starving for our solution because in just 22 weeks operating, we have 23 installing companies that are already working with us. These 23 companies have already brought us roughly 770 projects for us to finance. Of course, we cannot finance all of them, but we're trying to, and we're trying to get there. We in Rocasol, actually, we are not reinventing anything. One would say that we have a business model that has already been proved all over the world. And what's really significant about these companies is that they have a really, really low credit risk. For instance, if we take a look at Sunlight Financial, for example, they have a 0.8 historical gross credit loss since the beginning of their company. Or for instance, Solfácil, they have zero defaults over roughly 4.5 years they've been operating, and only 1% of their credits are 60-day past due. These all companies, they started as solar system installing companies, and then they realized there was a huge gap in the market nobody was covering, and that's kind of what we're doing. We are actually, well, now Rocasol is a really capital intensive model where we generate most of our income by the interest payments from our clients. However, we want to migrate and we want to become a vehicle for, let's call them banks, or let's call them any financial institutions that want to allocate their resources through Rocasol, and we can become a vehicle so that we can help also reduce the amount of CO2 produced in the environment. Oops. So a little bit of what I'm trying to explain here or to say is that we kind of have everything because we have a business model that has already been proved all over the world. We have the right industry knowledge. We have a great traction. We have a great team, and we have a great demand. I am inviting you to be investors at Rocasol. We are looking for equity investors and we are looking for debt partnerships. And we would love if you could make part of us and help us take solar energy to every household and small and medium business in LATAM. And thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Martin, for this interesting proposition for our investors. Michael, your turn.
Thank you, Tanya, and hello everyone, welcome. And I'll just share my screen. There we go. So, greetings, everybody. My name is Mike Groves, and I'm the CEO and founder of Topolytics. Topolytics is a data aggregation and analytics company that is making the world's waste visible, verifiable, and valuable. So we're working across the waste value chain. So we work with companies that produce waste, commercial, industrial, post-consumer waste material. We're working with recyclers and processors and others in that supply chain. And then we're also working with cities and national governments that are involved in setting policy or regulating or actually managing waste materials. And essentially what we're trying to do is basically improve the outcomes for all of that material. So if you're thinking about commercial waste, construction waste, hazardous waste, industrial waste, or post-consumer material, it's multiple material types, and it's generated across multiple locations, and then it's collected, and then it's moved, and it's processed, and it moves through a whole series of transformations before something actually happens to it, whether it be landfilled or incinerated or energy recovery or recycled or reprocessed or remanufactured. So those pathways and those outcomes vary enormously. And that material is constantly being generated and moved through that system. And one of the big challenges there is that the fact that there's very little visibility and trust in the data on those movements of those materials. And it's that we are tackling with our platform WasteMap. So essentially what we do is we're ingesting significant quantities of data on waste collections and waste movements from across our customers and their suppliers. And that often is in spreadsheets or databases. And then we pull that into our platform WasteMap. And then what we can then do is generate actionable insights into that material. So we're answering questions for those customers about what is that material? Where does that material go? What happens to that material? How far is that material being moved? What's the impact of that material in terms of its movement? And then we're sort of validating and building a better quality of data into all of that material across a company or across a city or a geography. So WasteMap itself is a software as a service platform. So our companies, our customers have a subscription to the platform, and it draws in the experience that we've got as a team of running and building and operating kind of waste and recycling companies. It's software based, and there's data science kind of going on at the back end in order to sort of try and sort of build a better picture of what's happening to all of that material. So essentially, with a subscription to the platform, our customers are really getting a better understanding of, how much are they paying for? So if you're a waste producer, say a manufacturer or a transport company or a utility, you're spending significant quantities of money on waste contractors and waste services across your business. But do you really understand what's happening to that material, and do you really understand what you're getting for that expenditure? So we're really being able to drill into the performance of that supply chain. And we're kind of validating what's happening against corporate KPIs or against regulatory requirements. And we're also measuring the impact, the carbon impact of the movement of all of that material. And then that data can then be fed into annual sustainability or kind of ESG reporting. And we can build a better picture of materials efficiency and resource efficiency across a whole business, whether it be one site or 10 sites or 100 sites. So we've built a position in that market, in the smart waste or waste tech market over the last few years. And we've got some fantastic kind of partnerships and validation. And we've just come off a program called the Circulars, which is run by the World Economic Forum, which brings together sort of innovators, companies that are innovating around the circular economy. So essentially, the platform works by ingesting data at one end, and that data is the existing data that exists within the waste supply chain. So waste contractors will be collecting data on waste movements, and it'll be sitting in their software systems or their databases, and we can extract that data, or they can upload that data into the platform where we process, we clean, we normalize, we standardize, and then we can start to generate analysis and start to sort of generate answers into what is the material, what happens to it, where does it go, what's the impact of that. So essentially that data could be in many forms. We see a lot of spreadsheets and a lot of sort of kind of database, standard kind of databases, but increasingly, you know, some of that data may be collected through smart labels and sensors, but that's certainly not universal across the kind of waste industry. So we're really still very much in the land of standard kind of spreadsheet type kind of uploads. And in terms of the companies we're working with, so working with a global packaging manufacturer, and we're managing all the data across their recycled kind of content. So they're bringing in a lot of recycled content. So we're managing all the data across that supply chain. Working with a transport company that wants to understand how different parts of its business are doing, how resource efficient each bit of that business is performing. And then we've also, in 2020, we created a prototype of the UK government's mandatory digital waste tracking system. So that's Topolytics. So our message really is to particularly to waste producers, is let Topolytics get inside those trash cans so that you don't have to. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Michael, for that comprehensive again. So I'll invite everybody to open their cameras again, and we can start having a discussion. Initially, I have a few questions for all the teams, and we have a couple of questions in terms of for specific companies. I will start with some of those particular ones. For Joe. And this is for Joe, and is your technology tackling all the SDGs, or is there any specific focus on some?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we are very much focused on environmental drivers rather than broader social challenges. So the SDG around climate action is absolutely crucial, and also responsible consumption are the two most relevant SDGs to the work that we do. But then we do touch a lot of other areas. So water, for example, we track people's water footprints. Land use, we track land use largely related to the food that we eat, but also other drivers as well. So I'd say we sit right in the sweet spot of 12 and 13, but touch lots of other ones in a softer way.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And I think, you know, there's another question that potentially from which I have that potentially tackle a little bit more that question, but for everybody, and is that, for example, the issue that we have is in Latin America, at least for the companies that work with us in the Responsible Business Hub, is that most of them might feel that there is a green premium for sustainability. And of course that's quite a challenge and impact their budgets. Is that the case? Do you think that is a challenge when you try to sell your technology to companies? Let's start with same Joe. Let's do the same, Joe, Daniel, and I will call you each. But that's a question for everybody.
Thank you. So I think certainly that has been the preconception across the globe, actually, that you have to be wealthy or you have to pay up to be more sustainable. And there are some examples of that, like organic food costs more than non-organic food. But of all the recommendations that we make to people in terms of what they can do, around 40 to 50% of them actually save money. And we're seeing it now with the energy crisis. Actually, if you reduce your energy use, you reduce your energy costs, and you also reduce your environmental impact. And even better if you go renewable. And I love what you guys are all doing. But Ricardo and Martin are obviously like right in the sweet spot of delivering those solutions, which is so crucial. And already we're seeing price parity, and in some markets, much cheaper now, renewable and cleaner technologies. So I would say that's definitely a preconception, but it's changing, and in many situations it's just not the case anymore.
Thank you, John. Daniel, what is your opinion on that?
My perspective on that is that sustainability at this point allows companies to produce results at a higher level. In the case of our customers, when we've deployed our technologies, the offices are in the top 10 offices of the places that have the best work environment, that have the most outstanding result and the most important growth, right? Because employees, if you want to attract the best talent that is going to produce the best results, sustainability is a must in your company, and living sustainability and not only pitching it is very important, where your employees walk your talk. When you have an integral definition of sustainability that goes beyond just the normal standards, but that people and employees have a sustainable work environment in all a very extensive definition. And more than that, customers and clients also care about this. So if you want to have, top performing employees, if you want to attract the best talent, if you want to also deliver to a broad range of customers that are caring about this, there's no other path. I think at this stage, we're at a place that it's a must and not in some way a premium asset that you have for your company. That's what we've seen on our clients.
Excellent, Daniel. Ricardo?
Yes, I'm not sure if I understand well the question, but I think from the perspective of Oasis and transportation, you're actually, yes, paying a little bit more in this case, like for cars, electric cars, a little bit like pricier than regular cars, and also for e-bikes and all these new vehicles that are taken on the streets. And if you see it as an individual, yes, you're seeing a bigger price, but we see it as a society, it's going to be like the best efficient cost. At the end, you're going to have to pay for restore everything that you're damaging by the using of cheap stuff, like when you're using I don't know, like bad materials to build a product, when you're using an awful disposition, or you're like not seeing everything as a complete system. At the end, you're gonna be like paying more as a society. So this extra price is completely justified.
Thank you, Ricardo. Emily?
I think Joe gave a really nice overview in terms of the day-to-day consumer and perceptions that we have around sustainability being more expensive. But we actually found reuse, especially with packaging, saves companies a lot of money, and they're able to be more competitive with their pricing, because as we track their reuse rates, they're able to kind of predict how many uses they'll get out of it, and then they're able to slash prices in some instances or be more competitive with each other, and the consumer sees that saving. We also make sure that our platform as a technology is available to SMEs and corporate FMCGs. So we have kind of very plug and play, low cost subscriptions that we have very small businesses that are, run by 2 people. So they have access to our kind of coding and data, as well as working with companies like Unilever, who have us in lots of different countries. So we try to have different use cases available so that it fits different budgets, so it's not restricted to people that are already at scale.
Thank you, Emily, for that. Martin?
So I particularly think that a few years ago, we had this green premium concept. Each time the world is evolving to have a cheaper green solutions, particularly at Rocasol. Instead of seeing Go Green as a premium, we actually offer Go Green as a discount. So that's like our little grain of sand to push the world towards a better and more green, not premium, but discount future.
Thank you, Martin. Michael?
Yeah, I mean, just to follow on from Martin's point, I mean, if you look at the cost of sustainable technologies, if you look at renewable technologies, I mean, it's plummeted over the last kind of 5 or 10 years. So the economics have completely changed, and it also depends on whether how you're pricing in the externalities like carbon. If you start to price that in, the economics of sustainability completely change. I mean, 30 years ago, I was involved in developing the principles and criteria for the Forest Stewardship Council, which is one of the first sustainable forest management standards, and I ran around Southeast Asia auditing forestry, and everyone thought that sustainable timber would be more expensive than non-sustainable timber because you'd have to pay the premium for the certification. But actually what happened was retailers just said, well, that's what we're going to sell. We're just going to sell sustainable timber. And, people would come in, they wouldn't have to make that choice. So it's a false choice between sustainable and non-sustainable. And when it comes to what we do specifically, we're a cloud-based kind of software kind of proposition, a SaaS. So we have to compete with other cloud-based software SaaS systems. But ultimately, what we're selling is we're selling operational efficiency, we're selling cost efficiency, and we're selling that kind of measurement of impact. So, so at the end of the day, we all still have to have a proposition that somebody's willing to buy, whether that's more expensive than something else or not.
Thank you, Michael. And I think that that question is related to another one in terms of scalability. Let me tell you what is the challenge that we have with our companies. As I mentioned, we have a responsible business hub. We have companies in Latin America that are fast tracking their sustainability or responsible businesses through different initiatives that we have. But I mentioned to some of you in our meetings, pre these event meetings, is that most of the teams on sustainability in Latin America are small. It's only 2-3 people, and they are today considered as another area of the business, but they are not into the core business of the organization. I don't know in the UK if it's the same. So then, for example, when they are approving budgets, because I understand the concept of sustainability across the organization, but when they are approving budgets, of course, you cannot measure the financial returns on carbon, the financial returns on your packing, the financial returns on your employee well-being. So then it becomes a matter of budgets. And the questions that we usually have on those meetings that we have with our companies is, of course, there is plenty of technology, but then if they have to implement all of them independently to address each of the 17 SDGs, they will never end. So then they will have to pick and choose. And the question is, it shouldn't be like that. It should be like a part of the financial planning of the company, etc. So do you think that at some point, or do you see that in the UK and in other markets, is that being implemented, meaning that businesses are being able to scale up sustainability technologies within the whole corporate organization? Whoever wants to answer this, because this is the final question.
Yeah. I think in the UK we're definitely seeing that, and actually what's been really interesting in the position of sustainability within large companies in particular is it's increasingly the head of sustainability. Well, many smaller companies won't have a head of sustainability. More and more are beginning to hire one, but they're not always truly embedded in the company. Sometimes they're a little bit siloed. But increasingly, we're actually seeing roles at board level, chief sustainability officer, for example, a bit like we had digital, real focus on digital 5 or 10 years ago. And I think that's a really good sign that it is becoming embedded, and it's often now coming across the finance director's desk in a way that it just hadn't 5 or 10 years ago. And with increased pressure from both investors, which has been the case for some time but is growing, but also from customers and clients, we are seeing more and more companies are really building this into their longer term strategy. However, that's not to say that all companies are doing that yet, and there's a big spread, and particularly for smaller companies it can sometimes be a real challenge because they've got a ton of things to juggle. But I think we are really seeing it's becoming mainstreamed, but although there is still a long way to go, and it needs constant, pushing it up the priority list to get done what we need to get done.
Thank you, Joe. Daniel, you were going to add something to it.
Yes, and very complementary with Joe because we are seeing the same pattern. Like in KindWorks, we're working with many of the most recognized companies in the world. Each of these companies have sustainability within their annual report, have sustainability in their core messaging. In some way, there's no way to have a conversation with them without having sustainability as a component of the process. And I think this interesting evolution is that sustainability is going all across the different areas of their budget, but more than that, it's also a more integral definition of sustainability, where it's not only the resources that you use, which is super important, and we have great people here in this panel working on those topics, but also the human impact and the social impact that you're having, and that actually helps you have the flywheel move on a stronger direction and helps companies be more successful. So we at KindWorks have found ways to measure the ROI of what we have, and the results are incredible. And we are looking and when companies are able to include the sustainability as part of their core components, or I would say their unmovable investments, or resourcing, is when they're able to achieve much more with sustainability than without it.
Thank you, Daniel. And Michael.
Just quickly, just to really add to what's been said. I mean, if you think about all of those sustainability challenges, and you can frame it as the SDGs or not, but even large companies can't tackle everything all at once in parallel at the same time, because there's just it's so fundamental and there's so much there. So if you're a smaller company, then it's okay to just identify one or two things that are kind of really kind of crucial to you and really important to you and are material to your business, and actually try and sort of tackle those, rather than trying to sort of think, oh my gosh, we need to just take a kind of complete fundamental approach to this. It's okay to focus on those things, particularly when you have limited resources and limited expertise within the business.
Thank you, Michael. And I think that will be it. I don't know if we have any more questions. We have quite a few questions, but I think that the time is up. And then we also want to allow delegates to be able to meet with you if they wish to do so. So thank you everybody for attending. We really appreciate that you accept this invitation to showcase your technologies. We will be in touch to potentially showcasing with our corporate members and the Responsible Business Hub. They're always in looking for new technologies to fast track their sustainability indicators. So we will be delighted to introduce you to all of them. For our audience, please, after we finish this session, you can ask for one-to-one meetings with our speakers using the people button. When you click on it, you can request meetings with our speakers. If they're available, they will connect. If not, just click on it and then pass your contact details, so then they can be in touch with you. And we are also inviting everybody to visit the expo. And some of our expos will have online presence, and you can have a chat, or you can see related information related to investment pitches and presentations, companies presentations, etc. If there is no information there, just send us a chat. Or if you have any issues, just put a chat in the chat box, and then we will be able to support you further. Thank you everybody once again. We appreciate your being here, and hopefully we will see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye.